The marketing plan is this. You cannot change it. It has to stay in this format. I've used this marketing plan professionally when I did marketing plans for people. And it just seems to cover everything that is needed. Of course, you can add to it if you want, but the skeleton of this has to be in the marketing plan that you hand in to me. So you're going to have a cover page, a table of contents. Make sure your table of contents has page numbers in it where you do ... page 1, ... page 12, whatever. It has to have numbers in it. And I mentioned the things that students leave out most of the time. At the end, they may get tired of doing this or they're lazy about it, but I'm going to mention the things that students typically leave out. And I've been grading marketing plans for a good 20 years. So hopefully these things help you guys. An executive summary goes up here as well. That's the first section, the executive summary. Doesn't have a Roman numeral or a letter. You just need to put a paragraph in there about what is about to follow, that you did a marketing plan for so-and-so client, and just summarize it in about a paragraph if you could do it, or half a page. Okay, so then we come up to sections of the marketing plan. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, 5 sections of the marketing plan. That's in Roman numerals. I want you to keep this outline and keep it organized in your Word document to me. Under section 1, we have corporate review. A lot of these things you guys have already done, but some of them you're going to have to fill in. So what I would suggest you do right now, early, is to copy this Word document and paste it into or just rename this Word document when you pull it up, and start adding things. Add a page for the cover page, a page for table of contents, a page for the executive summary, and then drop this outline into your Word document. So you already have it in there, and then you have it in the right font, you have it in the right font size, and then all you have to do is put space in and then add your corporate review. Okay, so let me just get back out of this. Okay, so under your corporate review, what you have is the mission statement, and you guys went through this. I know I graded it. If some people, their clients did not have a mission statement and you had to write one, or they had one and it sounded more like a promotion, it wasn't really a mission statement, and you had to write it for them, you have to do that before you hand it in, obviously. So that feedback was all given in the grade book. And so check your grade book for the feedback from me as to what you need to change. And then you change it, you put it in here, and it's perfect, right? Okay. The corporate plan is just, what do they plan to do? They plan to stay in business. They plan to add other locations. They plan to survive the rest of the pandemic, or we're coming out of it, whatever you want to write here. It's about a paragraph right here. Then the long-term, short-term goals, you guys submitted those. A lot of you did not put something that was measurable and time specific. This is really important. So measurable means it needs numbers, percentages, and time specific is within a time frame. So if you were to say increased revenue by 20% in the next 6 months, I mean, that's a crazy goal, but that was measurable and time specific. So we have to have measurable and time specific for short-term and long-term goals. Okay. Objectives support the goals. So if you say you want revenue increased by 10% in the next 12 months, that might be more realistic. Then your objective would support that. So in order to do that, your objective might be to increase market share by 5% in the next 12 months, or to increase profit margins, or to look at your return on investment, and then just work on these things. So these are common objectives that would support bigger goals. Okay, so you could work with your client to come up with these, or you could create the goals and objectives for them if they're not ready to create something on their own, but they kind of know what they want to do. You're a business student. They're an entrepreneur. They understand their business, but they might not necessarily understand what needs to be done in the future. Hopefully they do, but maybe you could just put it into nice wording for them, and then they would really appreciate that. Most of the clients for these marketing plans are super, super appreciative at the end. So you need to give them a copy of this. If you're asking for their time and their effort to write this, the least you could do is give them a copy of this at the end of the semester, and be very proud of it, because you never know what that could turn into for you. They may know somebody who has another business who's looking for somebody, or whatever. So if you always go above and beyond and you work really hard and you do your best work, this is going to be rewarded. Maybe not always just with a grade, but other ways as well. So always go above and beyond, and people will see that and appreciate you for that. Okay, so moving on. B is the industry review. We talked about in the module, there is how to write an industry review. I would say go to IBIS World. We want to see industry trends. Every single business is part of an industry. Okay, so if you're looking at, say, our example marketing plan is the cupcake store. So if there's a cupcake store, that's part of the baking industry. Okay, so it could be part of what Entenmann's is in. Like, we all know Entenmann's, they have great donuts, right? And breads and canned cookies and cakes. And you get those in the grocery store. And you're saying, well, that's not the same thing as my cupcake store that makes fresh cupcakes and they're decorative. Well, it is. It's all part of the same industry. So you just have to look it up. You can look it up by their code, and the librarian can help you with this, or you just can Google. I mean, you have to be careful when you Google, obviously. You want credible sources. But if you were to Google baking industry and statistics, you're going to get some pretty cool things. You may even get to IBIS World that way. And then you're going to see a lot of graphics and maybe an infographic or something that way too. So I would say you can Google information, but also use the databases at the library, because Towson pays a lot of money for these databases, you guys, and they want you to use it. And I do too, because I know that that's a credible source, and you should know it as well. Okay, so that's your industry review, and sales trends are part of that. You know, just seeing if sales are coming back up after COVID, or they're staying stable, or whatever. Okay. Part C is a competitive analysis, and this you can do right away. You could do this right now. So I'm just asking for 3 competitors. That's super, super easy. And it's anybody who sells something similar to what you are selling. So the cupcake store, for instance, it doesn't have to be other cupcake stores. It could be the supermarket sells cupcakes, or actually there's a candy store right around the corner, and people could either buy cupcakes if you're going to send cupcakes to somebody or bring them like for a birthday. You could also bring candy. So candy could be a competitive. It's not a direct competitor, but that's okay. You can have direct and indirect competitors. So for the competition, you have to have 3 competitors. And I want to see the strengths and weaknesses of these competitors by looking at the 4 Ps. Okay, so I'll show you a chart in the cupcake store, but what I would suggest is you put a chart in here, and you have the competitors 1, 2, 3 on the side, or you have the competitors on the top, either way. and then have product, place, price, promotion, and then you fill that in for each of the three. Okay, so I definitely am looking for the 4 P's for each of the competitors. All right, next one is consumer analysis, and this is where our questionnaire comes in. You all got the questionnaire feedback from me and from your classmates, and so it's time, if you haven't done it already, and I think, George, you've started this, but you need to revise your questionnaire. If you're nervous about it, send it back to me. I'll look at it again, but revise the questionnaire and then get out there and survey. Actually, the best way to survey is to have it in your hand and ask people questions. And these have to be potential customers. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to ask my parents and my family, because they might not be potential customers for this business. So you really have to find 15 to 20 potential customers and ask them. If you're going to send it by email or you're going to post it somewhere, make sure your instructions are really good. And by that, I mean circle 1, or answer as many as you'd like, or circle as many as you like. You just have to have really good instructions if you're not going to be standing there, because people won't know what to do and then they just won't do it. Okay, but if you're standing in front of somebody and you're asking questions, they're going to do it. You're going to get it done so fast, and boom, it's over. Okay, so we'll talk. I'll show you in the sample what I expect for your consumer analysis and how it should look, because this again should be highly professional. Every time I've done this for my clients, I've put in charts and graphs, and they love that. Now, granted, a lot of my clients have been in industrial engineering, and because of that, that's the way they think. Engineers think that way. They like graphics. They don't want to just read words. Nobody just wants to read words. So if you have a quick graphic, that helps communicate a lot faster. Okay, so I'll show you how the results should look in a minute. All right, part 2. Now we're part 2, problems and opportunities. So this is the SWOT analysis. We've done some of these. You guys have looked at strengths and weaknesses. We did that in the first couple of weeks. So your client told you what their strengths are and their weaknesses are. Now you have to identify opportunities and threats. And I just want to stop here for a minute, because opportunities and threats are things that are hard sometimes to identify. But think of it this way. Strengths and weaknesses are inside the company, inside the business. Opportunities and threats are outside the business. So if you think of what is an opportunity out there that could bring money to me as a business owner. So what things are happening out in the environment that I could look at and say, ooh, that's an opportunity for me. Let me give you an example. And this is more of an entrepreneurship example, but I was looking for a bank recently, and I thought, okay, I want a bank where I can have a lockbox. And so call bank number 1, no lockboxes. Bank number 2, lockboxes, but there's a 10-year wait. Bank number 3, lockboxes, but you have to travel an hour away to another branch, and there's a 5-year wait. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm thinking, boom, the light bulb goes off. This is an opportunity for somebody. So opportunities are actually found by researching the environment, researching the competition, thinking about technology. Maybe an opportunity for that business owner could be something with technology, something with social media, selling in a different channel. That could definitely be an opportunity for your client. Okay, so though I gave you some examples there, hopefully that helps. Now, threats are also outside the company. Okay, threats are outside the company, and those are things that could take money away from the business. Okay, so a threat could be COVID. COVID strikes up again, and that could affect your business. Okay. What else could take money away from your business? Competition. So if there's a big competitor and this competitor is doing well, and they came up with a new product or something like that, that's a threat. That could take money away from your business. So in this section, you have to have at least three bullet points under each one of these SWOT, SWOT. And don't just put one word. If I don't understand what you're talking about, some people under strengths, they say location. I don't know what that means. So you have to use like a sentence. The location could say downtown Towson location, easily accessible by students, faculty, and staff. So that tells me something, okay? You can't just put one word under the SWOT analysis. So I need 3 bulleted items, at least a sentence for each one. Okay, and I'm pretty strict about that because I need to understand it. If I don't understand it, your client's not going to understand it. Okay, so really, it's better to err on the side of too much than not to give enough information or not to write enough. So just say, oh, don't just say, oh, I can do this real easily with as few words as possible because that's the way I think. Well, that's great for you, but it's who's reading it you should be thinking about. Okay, so it's your client or me. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, so section 3 is strategic planning, the basic decisions. And so this is a really important part of your marketing plan. Don't take it lightly. Your marketing objective, again, sales, market share could be part of this. And the objective also has to be measurable and time specific. Measurable and time specific. You can take this marketing objective, it could be the exact same thing as up here, the long-term goals and objectives. You can actually copy and paste this and put it down here if it has to do with marketing. Because if you say to get our operation functioning more smoothly, blah, 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 that is not a marketing objective. So marketing objectives are more like an increase in sales, or increased number of customers, or market share, which is also increase in customers. So really think about in the marketing realm. And again, most people do an increase in sales here and revenue. Okay, the second part is marketing strategies. And remember, we saw this in the module that there is 4 generic marketing strategies. I use Starbucks as an example to explain those to you. So you have to pick one of those 4 generic marketing strategies, and I have to see that show up in your description. You have to say market penetration and then explain how market penetration works for your client and why you pick that. Okay. The next one is targeting and segmenting. Now we've been going through this and I haven't graded this assignment yet, but targeting and segmenting, as you know, we have to use demographics and we can use psychographics and behavioral, but I really want to see multiple demographics at the very least here. So age, education, income range, and you cannot say mid-income because I have no idea what that is. You have no idea what that is, okay? And that's different to everybody. So you have to be specific, very specific in your targeting, your target market, okay? So you can say a range of numbers for income, education level, zip codes, that's what has to go here. So I definitely want to see demographics here. Competitive advantage. Now, a good way to think about that is the advantage over the competition. So I would go back to my competitive analysis and look at it and say, what does my client have that the competition doesn't have? Or what do we do better than the competition. And you cannot just say quality of my product or service, because everybody's going to say that. You know, if you give more details and you say your supplier is so much higher, that higher quality, and because of this or that, and you explain it and you really make a case, then I would accept it. But you can't just use one word. You really have to spend a paragraph describing your advantage over the competition. Okay. And like for a restaurant, a lot of times it is the chef, but it could also be the ambiance, the atmospherics of a retail location. So think about that. And a lot of times your client will think it's one thing, but as I've seen, I also teach retail management, and we take pictures of everything. We take pictures of bathrooms, we take pictures of everything. And that's what your customer is going to come in and look at. So really think about the advantage over the competition and what you think it is, not necessarily what your client thinks it is or what you think it should be. Okay, because that's a really important thing. Okay, the other thing we've been working on this past week is positioning. And that is, in your mind, you position businesses different ways. And so I'm going to go through and read your positioning statements. And hopefully you guys understand that. And it's the position that you want your business to be in. It's a client might say, yeah, we're seen as the very best bar in Towson. And that's not enough. You're positioned as the only downtown bar with a outdoor rooftop venue. Okay, so that would be a positioning statement. Okay, and in that you're looking at the competitors. Okay, and you guys understand this from your assignment, but you really have to think about who are the other people here, and you know, how do we want to be positioned, or how you don't want to necessarily say how do people see you, because maybe you want to be seen a different way. And maybe because of that, you have to go back and rebrand and redo some things. And this happens a lot of times in hotels over the years. They kind of get stale and they have to go and refresh. Well, your client might need to do that. So you might need to make a suggestion here as well. And branding is here too. Not all of your businesses are going to be doing branding. They should be. So you can write a short paragraph about the branding strategies of your client. And again, if they don't do it, then you guys need to suggest they do that. Every business should be branded, and they should be thinking about how people think of them, and branding and positioning go together. So that's why I have it here. Okay, the next section 4 is a very big section. This should be a big section of your marketing plan, you guys. I'm not looking for short answers here. Okay, you can see these are the 4 P's here, and in each one we're doing current and suggested. So product, service, you know, I would go down and say current and then suggested, and then do this for every single P. And then under it, you're going to say the current product service strategy is suggestions based on secondary and primary research. So just start it out by suggestions based on primary and secondary research. Sorry. So your primary research is your surveys that you've done. You talk to the prime source. And then secondary research is research you've done online or in the library somehow, okay, or you've read, and from a credible source, okay? So you're going to go and suggest some things that the client may not have thought about, okay? So let's see if I can get that back. Ugh. So just think about that, okay? I'll take care of it later. Okay, so all the 4 Ps have to have current and suggested as part of those marketing mix. The marketing mix are the 4 Ps. You have to have current and suggested for each one of the 4 Ps. And we're going to look at the sample coming up so you can see that. The very last section is control and evaluation. So control and evaluation are the same words. You can put either one or both, but forecasting all of this, I'm going to tell you this. And if you've gotten to the end of my suggestion here, then I'll know, because I'm going to give you a hint here. I'm going to give you a big, easy out here. But if you put all 4 of these in your marketing plan, I'm going to think you didn't listen to this. Okay. Not that that's bad. If you want to try and do it on your own, go ahead. But I'm giving you all the helpful hints. So you can take all of this out if you're listening to me now and you're getting all these helpful hints, and you can put in 2 sentences that tell me, how do I evaluate if everything that you have done here, everything that I've suggested to you, being I'm the consultant, you're the client, how can you as a client measure, how can I evaluate if this is working or not? And I'm not going to give you the answer to that right now. You're going to have to figure that out. So how can you actually know that this marketing plan is working? So what you're going to do is set up a proposal right here. You take all of these out and you're just going to do a proposal to the client saying, to ensure that you meet your goals and to make sure that all things are working, however you want to word it, this is what I suggest you do to measure. And it could be very simple, but I'm going to tell you, it's got to be there. It's got to be there. Okay. All right. So let me shut this down right now. And any questions? You guys have any questions?
No, I think I'm all good.
Okay. Let's just look
covered
at
everything greatly.
Okay. I'm going to look at the grading rubric, and then I'll stop again if you have questions, or you could stop me while I'm going. Don't feel bad interrupting me. This is very relaxed and chill. But the grading rubric, real quickly, the cover page has to be neat. You have to have page numbers in the table of contents and page numbers along the way. And like I said, I would set it up all now, copy and paste that outline in there, get it all pretty, and then just keep adding sections until the end of the semester. And when you have to put it all together, it's going to be super easy, super easy. Okay, so page numbers, correct use of grammar and spelling. And some people in this class really have issues with that. You have problems with spelling or grammar. I would say go to the writing center and let them read it, but they're busy at that time of year, at time in the semester. So you're going to have to plan it accordingly. If you know you have problems with writing, I would go to the writing center and give them at least a couple of weeks or a week to get it done, or call them and find out. So I do take points off, because in business school, you have to have good writing, good grammar. All right, the corporate review, we talked about that, details about the company. The industry review, you have a section in this module on how to write an industry review. So I would follow that, and that's usually 1 page. Embed graphics into that, proper citations, no URLs, you guys. You'll get taken off if you have URLs. You have to have proper citations. And just put the citation right there following the industry review. You don't have to have bibliography at the end. Just in-text citations are fine, or at the end of the section, put your citations there. And that might not be proper for academic writing, but for business writing, it's perfectly acceptable, because your client may want to look at that and it's right there for them. So it's perfectly acceptable. Okay, the competitive analysis, like I said, 3 competitors, the 4 Ps on each. And if you're looking things up, proper citations. Okay, consumer analysis, we'll go through an example, but charts are provided for each of those, and the data has to be there and detailed. I don't want the surveys, okay? Don't even put them in your appendix. I don't want to see the surveys. I don't want to see those questionnaires with the answers in it. That doesn't prove to me. I could tell by looking at the data if it was really done. Okay, the SWOT analysis, again, at minimum of 3 items explained at least 1 sentence, not a word or 2 in sentences. The marketing objective has to be numbers, sales, market share, and it has to be explained. The marketing strategy has to be something from module 7. That's the module we're working in, explained and fully. The target market is, sorry, my Alexa's going off. The target market has to have demographics, at least 3 specific demographics. And then the competitive advantage, advantage over the competition, explain it, and you're comparing it to the competition. Think of it that way. And then, for this one, you can say, compared to the competition, XYZ business does this, that, and that, or excels at this, that, and that. Okay, positioning statement, again, I'll read that. Those were due this week, but positioning statement also compares to the competition. And then the marketing mix, this is a big thing here, guys. These are a lot of points. Out of 200, it's 40 points. So you don't want to lose any points here. And each of the 4 Ps have to be current and suggested. So I would have subtitles, current, suggested. I really like to have those subtitles, so I know you know that they're there, and you know I know they're there. So I would, under each one, do a paragraph, do the subheading. Let me turn my phone off. Sorry. Do a subheading, current and suggested, under each of the Ps, under each P. And again, I tell you these things because students, a lot of times, they will not do the marketing objective, marketing strategy, right? They don't always put all the demographics. These are the areas, these 3 and the marketing mix are where students, I don't know if they get tired, they get lazy, but make sure you do this, and you know, you're going to fly through it. So your objective has to have numbers. Your marketing strategy has to be from the module. You have to have demographics in your target market, at least 3 specific. You can't do low income, middle income, high income. You can't do that. And then jumping back down to the marketing mix, current and suggested for each one. And then the last one, do you know the success? How do you measure the success? How do you tie it back? How do you attribute the success to your marketing plan? So this is a proposal here, okay? Like we said, like we talked about. So here are your 4 generic strategies and how to write an industry analysis. And then just real quick, I won't keep you too much longer. I know you guys have been so good, but hopefully you've got some really good helpful hints. Any questions before I just look at the sample? Okay, I'm going to go through the sample. I'm just going to scroll through it, and you have access to this. But as I said, it's for a cupcake store. You can see the table of contents has numbers in it. And this one has the appendix. They put results, they put their data in there. It's not necessary, but if you wanted to do that, that's totally fine. The situation analysis, they started with the industry review, and they popped in a graphic here, which I really like. So trends, things here, life cycle, sales, and then your citations were right after it. And these are proper citations. The competitive analysis, this looks very nice. Product, place, price, promotion for each of the competitors. And then the consumer analysis. So this looks super great. And most of my students over the years have done it this way. So you're going to have to pop some numbers into Excel and then copy and paste it and put it into your Word document. Make sure if you're doing this, it's easy to understand. So I can see that 5% is once a week, and the bigger, darker that the colors are, they differentiate enough that I can really understand it. And then a little bit of wording after it is always good too, just to explain what you're saying, what you're doing here. I like that they've summarized it just a little bit following it. Okay, so this is an excellent consumer analysis, and you can add as much summary after each one as you'd like, but I love these charts. Absolutely great. And it's something you can work on now because you're surveying now. You get your 10 to 15, put it into Excel and run your numbers. Okay, super easy. I'm not asking for a lot of market research. This is an intro course. If you take another course at Towson or in your graduate program, you will have to do more statistics than this. I'm just asking for simple percentages, means, that type of thing, averages. You don't have to do anything too much. Okay, so here is the SWOT analysis, and you can see they have at least 3 statements. This one only has 2, but they have 3 things for each: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Marketing objective is measurable and time specific. The strategy, marketing strategy, has market penetration. So that's one of your generic marketing strategies. And then it's explained. Targeting and segmenting. The targeting, they have age, gender, income, psychographic, benefit. These are good. So make sure you have that. Your competitive advantage, again, your advantage over the competition is explained. Your positioning, and this is something I didn't require you guys to do, so don't feel you have to do this. But at another university, I did have students do this positioning map, and they placed, this is a really good exercise, but as I said, you guys don't have to do it. Maybe in future semesters, I'm going to require students to do it, but they looked at prices higher and lower and uniqueness of their designs. And then they placed it on the map and they described it. Okay. Then product, this is where I think this marketing plan could have been better. They have currently, and then they had suggested items, but they didn't differentiate, put subtitles, and they didn't describe it as much as I would have liked, but they got the job done. Pricing is a little bit longer, and then you can see in communications, and we will study this. This is promotion, and there are different methods under promotion that we'll go into. And so they did subheadings for each of those methods, like advertising is one, sales promotion is another. So under each of the methods, they did current and suggested, which you're going to have to do this for an upcoming assignment. So if you want to work ahead, you can do that. But this is an upcoming assignment that you're going to drop into your marketing plan.